His heart froze the moment he saw it. "I love you, sweetheart. Daddy will be home soon." Sent to his CEO. Marcus Hayes was a black single father who had spent 7 years at the company without making a single mistake. One wrong text, and the life he'd carefully built could disappear overnight. Nora Vaughan was known for destroying careers over far less than this. But she didn't fire him. She showed up at his apartment that night. And the words she whispered changed both their lives forever. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from today. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss a story like this. Marcus Hayes had learned long ago that being good wasn't enough. He had to be flawless. Every report submitted early. Every meeting walked in with notes ready. Every email triple-checked. In the corporate world he navigated every day, there was no room for error. Especially not for a black man who had already defied every expectation by rising to operations manager at one of the city's largest firms. His office was a modest corner on the 14th floor, a small window overlooking the parking garage. He earned it through 7 years of 60-hour weeks, saying yes when others said no, missing school plays and bedtime stories. On his desk sat one framed photo. Maya's gap-toothed kindergarten smile, braids tied with the pink ribbons she picked out herself that morning. 3 years. That's how long Jenna had been gone. A drunk driver. A Tuesday afternoon. Suddenly Marcus became both father and mother to a 4-year-old girl who kept asking when mommy was coming home. He still remembered the last thing Jenna said to him that final morning, her voice sharp with frustration, because he'd forgotten to buy milk. They hadn't even kissed goodbye. Now his world was simple. Work and Maya. Nothing else fit. That Friday began like any other. Marcus arrived at 7 a.m. Reviewed quarterly projections. Prepared for the 3 p.m. partnership meeting. Nora Vaughan, the youngest CEO in company history, would be leading it. She expected perfection from everyone. Nora. Even her name carried weight in the building. At 36 she had climbed higher than anyone thought possible. Not through charm or connections, but through a quiet ruthlessness that left competitors scrambling. She never raised her voice. She never needed to. One look could end a career. Marcus had worked under her for 2 years. In all that time he'd seen her smile exactly twice. Both during investor calls. And neither time did the warmth reach her eyes. By noon his phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Ramirez, the kind older neighbor who watched Maya after school. "She's running a low fever. Nothing serious. But she's asking for you." Marcus's chest tightened. He typed back quickly. "Keep her comfortable. I'll try to leave early." But leaving early wasn't possible. Not today. The partnership meeting stretched 3 hours longer than scheduled. Nora's questions came sharp and relentless, demanding data Marcus hadn't prepared for. By 5:30 his phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Maya herself, typed with the careful letters of a 7-year-old. "Daddy, I miss you. When are you coming home?" Marcus glanced around the conference room. Nora was still speaking with the partners. Her back turned. He had maybe 30 seconds. He typed fast, thumbs clumsy. "I love you, sweetheart. Daddy will be home soon." Send. Relief lasted 2 seconds. Then he looked at the screen. The message hadn't gone to Maya. It sat in the thread he'd opened earlier. To send Nora the quarterly report. A thread he should have closed. I love you, sweetheart. Daddy will be home soon. Sent to Nora Vaughn. Read. Marcus's blood turned to ice. His hands shook as he tried to delete it. But the option was gone. She had already seen it. Across the room he watched her. Pull her phone from her pocket. Glance at the screen. Then nothing. No reaction. No flicker of surprise. She simply slid the phone back. And continued the conversation. That silence was worse. So much worse. The next hour passed in a fog of dread. Every worst-case scenario played in his mind. Termination, public humiliation. A reputation destroyed by 3 careless words. He had seen what happened. To people who crossed boundaries with Nora. Even unintentionally. A junior analyst once called her Nora in a meeting. He was transferred to the Omaha office. Within a week. By 7 p.m. the building was empty. Marcus sat frozen at his desk. Staring at his phone. As if it might offer an escape. His finger hovered over Nora's contact. Should he send an apology? An explanation? Anything? Before he could decide. His desk phone rang. Internal line. Nora's extension. His voice barely held steady. This is Marcus Hayes. A pause. Come to my office. The walk down the hallway felt endless. His shoes echoed on marble floors. Each step carried him closer. To what he was sure would be. The end of everything he'd built. He thought of Maya. The mortgage. The health insurance that covered her asthma meds. What he would tell his mother. Who had warned him years ago. That corporate America would find a way to break him. Nora's office took up the entire east corner. Of the executive floor. Glass walls, clean lines, minimalist. She stood by the window when he entered. Silhouette framed against the city lights. She didn't turn. Marcus cleared his throat. Ms. Vaughn, I want to apologize. Who is sweetheart? The question caught him completely off guard. He had expected anger. Cold dismissal. Security waiting to escort him out. Not this. I'm sorry. She turned then. For the first time Marcus noticed. Something different in her expression. Not anger. Not contempt. Curiosity. Tinged with an emotion he couldn't name. The message, she said. Who were you writing to? Marcus swallowed hard. The truth felt dangerous. But lies had never served him well. My daughter. Maya. She's 7. She was sick today. And I was trying to tell her. I'd be home soon. Nora studied him for a long moment. You leave at 5:30 every day. Even when projects aren't finished. It wasn't a question. I try to, he answered anyway. She needs me home for dinner. For homework. Her mother passed away 3 years ago. I'm all she has. Something shifted in Nora's face. A crack in the armor. So brief he might have imagined it. She walked to her desk. Picked up a small photo frame. He had never noticed before. Held it for a moment. Then set it face down. I've never received a message like that, she said quietly. Not from anyone. Not even when I was a child. Marcus didn't know how to respond. The conversation had veered. So far from what he expected. That he felt lost. In unfamiliar territory. Nora looked at him directly. My parents divorced when I was 10. My father moved across the country. And never looked back. My mother was too busy building her career to notice I existed. The woman who raised me was our housekeeper. She was paid to be kind. I've never heard someone say I love you and mean it. Not once. The confession hung raw between them. Marcus realized he was seeing something no one else in the company had ever witnessed. Nora Vaughn without the mask. I'm sorry, he said. And truly meant it. Everyone deserves to hear that. Her jaw tightened, as if she regretted letting him see so much. She straightened. The walls rebuilt themselves in real time. Your work has been exceptional, she said. Tone shifting back to professional. I expect you in the partnership follow-up. Monday morning. That will be all. Marcus nodded. Turned to leave. Then stopped at the door. He didn't know what made him speak. Maybe the image of Maya waiting at home. Maybe the hollow look he'd glimpsed in Nora's eyes. You asked what it feels like, he said. To hear those words and mean them. Nora didn't respond. But she didn't look away either. Marcus held her gaze. It feels like you matter. Like someone in this world would notice if you disappeared. Like you're not just surviving. You're actually living. He left before she could reply. Heart pounding against his ribs. In the elevator he leaned against the wall. And exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. He had walked into that office expecting to lose everything. Instead he had glimpsed something far more unsettling. The loneliness beneath Nora Vaughn's perfect exterior. And something told him his life was about to change. In ways he couldn't yet imagine. The following Monday, Marcus arrived expecting awkwardness. What he found was something far more complicated. Nora called him into a meeting with senior leadership. And announced a new initiative. An expansion into the European market. The company would send a delegation to London. For 2 weeks of negotiations. She needed someone to lead operational planning. Marcus Hayes will head the team, she said. Without looking at him. His performance on the quarterly review showed exactly the precision this project requires. The room turned to stare. Some curious. Others skeptical. Promotions like this didn't happen to people like him. Not without years more proving. Not without someone powerful vouching. After the meeting he caught her in the hallway. Why me? She kept walking, heels clicking on marble. Because you're the best person for the job. That's never been enough before. Nora stopped. Turned to face him with an expression bordering on impatience. Are you questioning my judgment, Mr. Hayes? No. I'm questioning your timing. Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, perhaps. Or respect for his directness. 2 weeks in London. Flight leaves Thursday. I suggest you make arrangements for your daughter. She walked away before he could respond. That night Marcus sat on the edge of Maya's bed. Watching her color a rainbow. Her fever had broken over the weekend. She was back to her usual energy. Chattering about her teacher. Her best friend Madison. The butterfly they found on the playground. Daddy has to go on a work trip, he said gently. Maya looked up, brown eyes wide. How long? 2 weeks. The crane stopped moving. Marcus watched her small forehead wrinkle. The same way Jenna's used to when she was thinking hard. That's a long time, Maya said quietly. I know, sweetheart, But Mrs. Ramirez will take care of you. And Grandma's coming to stay too. I'll call every single day. I'll text you good night every night. Just like always. Maya considered this. Will you still say I love you? Marcus felt his heart squeeze. Every single day. No matter where I am. She nodded slowly. Then went back to coloring. Okay. But you have to bring me a present from London. Something really good. Marcus laughed. Pulled her into a hug. Deal. Later that night. After Maya fell asleep. Marcus stood in her doorway. And felt the familiar weight of guilt. Jenna's voice echoed in memory. The arguments about his long hours. Her frustration that he was never truly present. Even when he was home. He had promised himself after her death. That he would be different. That Maya would always come first. And yet here he was. Leaving her for 2 weeks. To chase a promotion he hadn't even asked for. The overnight flight to London was restless. Nora sat 3 rows ahead in business class. Laptop open. Face lit by the screen. She hadn't spoken to him since the hallway. He wondered if the distance was intentional. A reminder that whatever passed in her office was a one-time slip. Not to be repeated. But London changed things. The first week was brutal. Back-to-back meetings. Late dinners. Negotiations that demanded every ounce of his skill. Nora was relentless. Pushing for better terms. Refusing anything less than victory. Marcus found himself exhausted. And exhilarated. Challenged in ways his regular job never asked. On the 6th night everything shifted. The final meeting collapsed. A key investor pulled out at the last second. Citing concerns about leadership structure. Nora handled it with her usual composure. But Marcus noticed the tension in her shoulders. As they walked back to the hotel. The way her jaw stayed clenched. Long after the boardroom doors closed. There's a bar on the corner, he said. Looks quiet. Nora glanced at him. Are you suggesting we drown our sorrows, Mr. Hayes? I'm suggesting we debrief. Somewhere that doesn't smell like stale coffee. And corporate stress. A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Fine. The bar was small, dimly lit. Filled with locals who ignored the 2 Americans. Settling into a corner booth. Nora ordered whiskey neat. Marcus asked for the same. For a while they talked about the deal. What went wrong? What could be salvaged? Strategies for the remaining meetings. But as the whiskey warmed his chest, the conversation drifted. You mentioned your daughter's mother passed away, Nora said. How did you manage afterward? Marcus turned his glass slowly on the table. I didn't. Not for a long time. The first year was pure survival. Getting Maya to school. Showing up to work. Paying the bills. I didn't feel anything. I couldn't afford to. Nora listened without interrupting. Eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made him feel both exposed and understood. Jenna and I fought that morning, he continued. Something stupid about groceries. I was late for a meeting. She was frustrated because I was always late for something. I didn't kiss her goodbye. I just left. He had never told anyone this. Not his mother. Not his therapist. Not the friends who rallied around him. Those first dark months. But something about the dim light. The whiskey. And Nora's steady attention. Made the words spill out. I spent 2 years convinced that if I had stayed 5 more minutes, She wouldn't have been at that intersection when the drunk driver ran the red light. That somehow my impatience killed her. Nora's hand moved across the table. Stopped just short of touching his. You know that's not true. I know it now. But knowing and believing are different things. The silence between them felt different now. Not awkward. Intimate. Two people who had revealed more than they ever intended. My mother used to say love was a luxury, Nora said finally. That successful people didn't have time for sentiment. She built her career on that belief. And she expected me to do the same. Marcus met her eyes. Do you still believe that? Nora didn't answer right away. She looked down at the amber liquid in her glass. Then spoke softer than he'd ever heard her. I used to. It made everything simpler. No attachments. No vulnerabilities. No one who could disappoint you. Or be disappointed by you. I built my entire life around that. She looked at him then. And Marcus saw something that stole his breath. A loneliness so deep. It seemed to have shaped her from the inside. Now I'm 36 years old. And I've never had someone send me a text that said I love you. Not by accident. Not on purpose. Not ever. Marcus's phone buzzed on the table. A text from Maya. Good night, Daddy. I love you. He showed Nora the screen without thinking. She stared at it for a long moment. When she looked up, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. She's lucky, Nora whispered. To have someone who loves her like that. Marcus felt something crack open inside him. A door he hadn't realized he'd kept locked. Maya once asked me if love makes people hurt, he said. I told her yes, sometimes. But I also told her that hurting because you love someone is still better than feeling nothing. Because you're alone. Nora turned away. But not before Marcus saw her shoulders tremble slightly. Neither spoke for a while, letting the low hum of the bar fill the space. Later, walking back to the hotel, Marcus's phone rang. Maya's face on the screen. A video call, past her bedtime. Daddy. Grandma said I could call you. Because I couldn't sleep. Marcus smiled despite the exhaustion. Hey, sweetheart. What's wrong? Nothing. I just wanted to see your face. Nora had kept walking. But she stopped when she heard Maya's voice. Marcus watched her hover at the edge of the frame, unsure whether to stay or leave. Who's that behind you? Maya asked suddenly. Is that a lady? Before Marcus could answer, Nora stepped into view. Hello, Maya. Maya's eyes went wide. You're really pretty. Are you Daddy's friend? Something softened in Nora's face. I'm his boss, actually. But I suppose I'm also his friend. Do you want to see my drawing? Maya scrambled off her bed. Disappeared. Then returned with a piece of paper. I drew this today. It's our family. She held it up. Marcus had seen dozens of Maya's family drawings. Always the same. Two stick figures, tall and small, holding hands under a yellow sun. But this one was different. Still two figures, but brighter colors. Bigger sun. That's beautiful, Nora said. And Marcus heard real warmth in her voice. Daddy says you're in London. Is it pretty there? It is. But not as pretty as your drawing. Maya beamed. When you come back, you should come to our house. Daddy makes really good pancakes. Marcus felt his face heat. Okay, sweetheart. It's way past your bedtime. Okay. Good night, Daddy. I love you. She blew a kiss. Good night, Daddy's friend. I love you too. The call ended before Nora could reply. She stood frozen on the sidewalk. The phone's glow fading from her face. She says that to everyone, Marcus said quickly. She doesn't mean. I know, Nora whispered. But it's the first time anyone's ever said it to me. They walked the rest of the way in silence. The second week in London brought success. The deal closed. The partnership secured. The board satisfied. But for Marcus the victory felt hollow. Something had shifted between him and Nora. Something neither acknowledged openly. But both felt in every glance. Every accidental brush of hands over documents. Every silence that stretched too long. Marcus found himself looking for her in crowds. Listening for her voice in meetings. Counting hours until they'd be alone again. And every time he caught himself, guilt crashed over him like a wave. One sleepless night he opened his phone and stared at the lock screen photo of Jenna. Her smile frozen forever at 34. Am I betraying you? He whispered to the empty room. Is this what moving on feels like? No answer came. Just the hum of the hotel AC. And distant London traffic. The next morning Marcus began to pull away. He kept conversations strictly professional. Declined Nora's dinner invitation. Buried himself in final prep for the return flight. He told himself it was the right thing. Protecting himself. Protecting Maya. Protecting Jenna's memory. Nora noticed. Of course she did. What's wrong? She asked. Cornering him in the hotel lobby. The night before departure. Marcus shook his head. Nothing. Just focused on the work. Don't lie to me. You've been avoiding me for 3 days. He met her eyes. The directness of her gaze made his walls feel paper-thin. I don't know what you want from me, Nora. I want you to be honest. The truth pushed against his teeth. I'm not good enough for you. I'm a single dad with a 7-year-old. A broken heart. And more baggage than any one person should carry. You're a CEO. You could have anyone. Why would you want someone like me? Nora's expression didn't change. But something in her eyes shattered. You think I care about any of that? I think you should. She stepped closer. Close enough that Marcus could smell her perfume. See the rapid pulse at her throat. My whole life I've been told what I should care about. Power. Success. Legacy. I achieved all of it. And I've never felt more empty. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Then I received a text message. Meant for a 7-year-old girl. And for the first time in years, I felt something. So don't tell me what I should want, Marcus. I'm tired of should. Marcus wanted to reach for her. Every instinct screamed to close the distance. Take her face in his hands. Kiss her until they both forgot why this was impossible. Instead he stepped back. I can't, he said. I'm sorry. I can't. He walked away. And didn't look back. The flight home was silent. Nora sat in her usual seat. Laptop open. As if nothing had happened. Marcus stared out at the clouds. And wondered if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. 2 days after they returned, the announcement came. The London parent company offered Nora the role of regional chair for European operations. The pinnacle of her career. A position that would cement her legacy. and place her among the most powerful executives alive. It also meant relocating to London. For at least 3 years. Marcus heard the news from a co-worker. Delivered in casual office gossip tone. Can you believe it? She accepted on the spot. Guess she was just waiting for the right opportunity to leave. The words hit like a physical blow. Marcus sat at his desk, staring at his screen, unable to process. She was leaving. He had pushed her away. And now she was leaving. That night he came home to find Maya waiting at the door, with a piece of paper in her hands. Daddy, look what I drew today. She held it up proudly. Another family portrait. But this time 3 figures. A tall man, a small girl, and a woman with long dark hair. All holding hands under an enormous yellow sun. Who's the lady? Marcus asked, though he already knew. That's Nora, Maya said matter-of-factly. She's nice. I wanted her in our family. Marcus knelt, pulled his daughter close. Sweetheart. Nora is moving away. She's going to live in another country. Maya's face crumpled. But why doesn't she like us? Marcus had no answer. He held her as she cried. And somewhere deep inside, something frozen for 3 years began to thaw. That night, after Maya fell asleep, with tears still drying on her cheeks, Marcus sat alone in the living room and finally let himself cry too. Not for Jenna. That grief had softened into something he could carry. But for something new. Something he had glimpsed and lost before he even understood it. He cried for Nora. For himself. For the future that had flickered into existence. For one brief moment. Before vanishing like smoke. And in the darkness of his quiet house, Marcus Hayes finally admitted what he had been too afraid to say out loud. He had fallen in love. And now it was too late. The next 3 days passed in a blur of mechanical routines. Work, meetings, emails, dinner for Maya, bedtime stories, sleep that brought no rest. The office buzzed with talk of Nora's departure, farewell plans, speculation about her replacement, gossip about why someone at the peak of her career would suddenly move overseas. Marcus said nothing, kept his head down, counted the hours until she would be gone. Thursday evening. Maya found him sitting alone at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. Daddy, why are you sad? Marcus looked at his daughter. At her concerned brown eyes, so much like Jenna's, and felt his carefully built walls begin to crack. I'm not sad, sweetheart. Just tired. Maya climbed onto the chair beside him. You're lying. You always look at the wall when you're lying. Despite everything, Marcus almost smiled. When did you get so smart? Mommy used to say I was smart like you. Maya reached out and took his hand in her small fingers. Is it because of Nora? Because she's leaving. The sound of her name hit like a punch. How do you know about that? I heard you talking on the phone. And you've been sad ever since. Maya squeezed his hand. Do you love her, Daddy? Marcus wanted to deny it. To protect Maya from the mess of adult feelings. To keep her world simple. Where Daddy was always strong and certain. But she was watching him. With that clear, piercing gaze. And he couldn't lie. I think I might. Maya nodded slowly. As if this confirmed something she already knew. Then why are you letting her go? It's complicated, sweetheart. There are things you don't understand. Like what? Marcus searched for words a 7-year-old could grasp. Like, I'm scared. I loved your mommy very much. And when she died, it hurt so bad. I thought I would never feel anything again. And now I'm feeling things for Nora. And I'm scared that if I let myself love her, I might lose her too. And I don't know if I can survive that again. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that stopped his heart. Daddy, do you remember what you told me when Mommy died? Marcus waited. You said that being sad about losing someone means you were lucky enough to love them. And that it's better to love and be sad than to never love at all. Marcus stared at his daughter. He remembered saying those words, holding her tiny body as she sobbed, believing them even as his own heart shattered. You taught me that, Maya continued. But now you're not doing it yourself. You're too scared to love Nora. Because you might lose her. But Daddy, what if you don't lose her? What if you just let her go because you're scared? And then you're sad anyway. But you didn't even get to love her first. The logic was so simple, so pure, that Marcus felt something break open inside. His 7-year-old daughter had just said what he couldn't face for 3 years. His fear of loss had become its own prison, keeping him from the very thing that could set him free. When did you become so wise? He whispered. Maya smiled, showing the gap where her front tooth used to be. I learned it from you. That night, after Maya fell asleep, Marcus sat in the darkness of his bedroom and pulled Jenna's photo from the nightstand drawer. For a long time he just looked at her face. The smile that greeted him every morning. The eyes that saw him at his worst and loved him anyway. I need to talk to you, he said softly. I know you can't answer, but I need to say this out loud. The house was silent. Outside, a car passed, headlights briefly lighting the curtains. I think I'm falling in love with someone. And I feel like I'm betraying you by even admitting that. For 3 years I've held onto you so tightly that I forgot how to hold anything else. I've been so afraid of dishonoring your memory that I've been teaching our daughter that love is something to fear. His voice cracked. But you wouldn't want that, would you? I remember what you said near the end, when we didn't know the end was coming. You said if anything ever happened to you, you didn't want Maya growing up in a house without laughter, without love. He touched the photo gently. I've been so focused on not replacing you that I forgot. You can't replace someone you truly loved. Nora isn't a replacement for you. She's something new. Something I never expected. And I think maybe that's okay. The photograph gave no reply. But Marcus felt something shift. A releasing of chains he hadn't known he carried. I'm going to try, he said. I'm going to try to let myself love again. I hope that's what you would have wanted. He placed the photo back in the drawer and closed it gently. Then he looked at his phone. Nora's flight was scheduled for 11 a.m. tomorrow. He had less than 12 hours. Marcus barely slept. At 6 a.m. he woke Maya and told her they were going on an adventure. Where are we going? She asked, rubbing her eyes. To the airport. Nora's leaving today. And I need to tell her something important before she goes. Maya's face lit up. Are you going to tell her you love her? Marcus pulled her into a hug. Yes, sweetheart. I'm going to try. The drive to the airport felt endless. Traffic was thick. Marcus gripped the wheel so hard. His knuckles turned white. Beside him, Maya clutched a folded piece of paper. A drawing she insisted on bringing. They arrived at 9:45. Marcus grabbed Maya's hand and ran through the terminal, scanning departure screens. Gate 37. International departures. They pushed through crowds, past security, into the international terminal. Then Marcus stopped. Nora was there, standing near the boarding gate, carry-on at her feet. She wasn't looking at her phone or her boarding pass. She stood completely still, staring at the departure board, as if it held answers she was afraid to hear. Nora. Maya's voice rang out across the terminal. Nora turned. When she saw them, Marcus breathing hard from running, Maya clutching her drawing. Her expression shifted from confusion to something Marcus couldn't quite name. "What are you doing here?" she asked as they approached. Before Marcus could speak, Maya broke free and ran to her. "Wait. Don't go yet." She thrust the paper toward Nora. It was the drawing. 3 figures, tall man, small girl, woman with long dark hair, all holding hands under an enormous sun. "I drew this for you," Maya said breathlessly. "See? That's me. That's Daddy. And that's you. I put you in our family because I want you to stay. Please don't go to London. Please stay with us." Nora took the drawing with trembling hands. She stared at it for a long moment. When she looked up, her eyes were bright with tears. She was fighting to hold back. "Maya, I don't know if I can. Please." Maya's voice was so earnest, so full of hope. It hurt even Marcus to hear. "Daddy's been so sad since you said you were leaving. And I know he loves you. Because he gets the same look he used to get when he looked at Mommy. I don't want him to be sad anymore. And I want you to come to our house and see Daddy make pancakes. He's really good at pancakes." Nora knelt so she was eye level with Maya. "Sweetheart, your daddy and we haven't. I love you." Marcus's voice cut through the terminal noise. Nora looked up at him, frozen. "I love you," he repeated, stepping closer. "I've been too scared to say it. Because the last time I loved someone, I lost her. And I convinced myself that keeping everyone at arm's length was the same as protecting myself and Maya. But my 7-year-old daughter just reminded me that I've been living by rules I don't even believe anymore." He took another step, close enough now to see the rapid pulse at her throat, the shallow breath. "You asked me once what it felt like to have someone say those words and mean them. I couldn't show you then, but I can now. I love you, Nora. Not because you're powerful or successful or any of the things you've spent your life building. I love you because you let me see the loneliness underneath all of it. Because you looked at a drawing from a 7-year-old girl and cried. Because you're standing in this airport right now, about to leave everything behind. And you still haven't walked through that gate." Nora stood slowly, Maya's drawing still clutched in her hands. "Marcus, I accepted this position because I thought I had nothing here worth staying for. I've spent my entire life being told that love is a weakness, that attachment is a liability, that the only thing that matters is what you achieve. And I believed it. Because it was easier than admitting how empty I felt. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Then you sent me a text message by accident. And everything I thought I knew stopped making sense. Marcus reached out and took her hand. Stay. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be part of a family. I don't know how to love someone without trying to control everything around me. Neither do I. But Maya's pretty smart. She can teach us both. Nora laughed then. A real laugh, raw and unguarded. And the sound broke something loose in the air between them. I've never said this to anyone before, she whispered, stepping closer until almost no space remained. So I need you to understand what it means when I say it. She leaned in, lips brushing his ear, and whispered the words. That changed everything. I love you. You're the first person I've ever said this to. And I want you to be the last. Marcus pulled her into his arms. For the first time in 3 years, he felt like he was finally coming home. Maya wrapped her arms around both of them. Her small voice muffled against their legs. Does this mean Nora's staying? Nora looked down at the little girl who had drawn her into a family she never knew she wanted. Yes, sweetheart. I'm staying. 1 year later. The evening ritual in the Hayes household had grown. After dinner, homework, bath time. Maya would climb into bed and send her nightly text to Marcus, even though he was usually just in the next room. I love you, Daddy. He would reply. I love you too, sweetheart. And then a third message would arrive. From Nora, who had negotiated a remote executive role with the board and never looked back. I love you both. Good night. The text message that had once been Marcus's greatest mistake had become the foundation of something he never expected to find again. A family built on second chances, whispered confessions, and the courage to love, even when it terrified you. Sometimes in the quiet moments, after Maya fell asleep, Marcus would look at Nora, reading beside him in bed, and marvel at how everything changed because of 3 careless words sent to the wrong person. And sometimes late at night, he would whisper to the memory of Jenna. Thank you for teaching me that love is worth the risk. In the end, it wasn't the mistake that defined him. It was what he chose to do after. If this story touched your heart, you're not alone. We all carry fears about love, about loss, about whether we deserve a second chance. But maybe, just maybe, the mistake you are most afraid of making could be the beginning of something beautiful. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss another one. And leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever sent a message to the wrong person? Did it change your life? Until next time, remember, you are worthy of love. Always.